Hello and welcome to another Retro Crazy. This time I'm looking at the Atari 2600 Junior. This is my own personal one. It's featured in a previous video that I did when we checked out some Atari 2600 cartridges, but there was a power problem and it appears that this switch is not the best. It's breaking and making connection every now and again. So need to look at that. At the same time, I'm also going to do a service on it, which involves some capacitors. And while you're doing that, another good thing to do is replace the main power transistor. On the back, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 screws. So let's quickly take this apart. Okay, it doesn't want to pop apart, but I can see just inside some tabs, and I'm wondering if it pops in at the front. One, 2, 3. There we go. Little bit of a fight, but I won. Right, there is a ribbon connector, which I felt as I lifted. Just here. So we're going to carefully put that down, get both sides of the cable and lift. And out it comes, and now this can just go to the side. Here's the main board. We can see some of the capacitors we're going to be replacing. This one here. Interestingly, this one was not in the cap list that I had, so I'm going to have to replace that at another time. Here's the power transistor that we're going to replace. So let's see about getting the circuit board out. One clip point here, another one at the other side. They are exceptionally tight, but they released, and now the base can go to the side. The main unit itself is quite clean, except for a leaf there. And now we need to remove this ground shield, and you can see it's held in all the way around with these little twists. And hopefully, with that done, am I missing one? I am missing one here. And this whole shield should come up and out the way. Revealing the motherboard. There are a number of different revisions of this board as they cheapened it through its production life. I can see 1, 2, 3 caps here that definitely need replaced. We've got the large one here and this one, which I'm sure wasn't on the diagram I had. Well, that's what happens when you come into something like this to do the work. You always find that it's slightly different. As normal, I'm just going to desolder the caps, and I have a series of replacements for them which I should be able to put in. These are all either Nichicon or Panasonic. You should see the brand name there. Nichicon. So high quality caps. I tend not to use anything other than the best quality because they last for so much longer. You've seen me do this many times before, so we'll just do this on a fast forward. Welcome back. I've replaced all the caps now. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. They're all 4.7 UF, a mix between 35 and 50 volts, which is why you had the two color combinations, but they've all been replaced with 50 volt equivalents, and the single odd one out has been replaced, and I just shaped the legs so that it fitted quite nicely in there and it doesn't look too out of place. So that's all the caps done. Next is our lovely friend here. Now this is a 7805. I've got some brand new replacements, new old stock, again Motorola branded, and I got enough to do two because I actually have a second 2600 coming. That will be in another video, but I've got the kit ready for when that arrives. So let's undo this, desolder and replace. I'm going to clean up this area here because I'm going to be rebuilding it with some MX4 thermal compound, which is used for heat sinks on CPUs. That'll transfer the heat quite nicely into this area. And again, everybody knows 99% isopropyl alcohol. My goodness, somebody else's teeth. Well, that's it for replacing the components on the board. So the mini service is now complete. I have done a check and they seem okay, the ones I could test. But look at the age of the system. Copyright Atari 1983. So yeah, this is like 38 years old. Let's just be sensible and replace. Last thing to do is this power switch, which seems fine, but obviously it's not making a great connection if I'm getting it breaking up. Now I'm looking at it, trying to work out the best way to do this. It's not designed just to pop apart like a number of the ones are. I'm wondering if I should desolder and look at the other side. I can't even clearly see anywhere that deoxit would definitely get in and penetrate. There are gaps here and here that it may get into, which I can access separately, because you can see where the outline of the shield sits. Do I desolder? And have a look. Dare I risk it? Well, what's the worst that can go wrong? Well, that seemed to desolder fairly easily. Let's just carefully remove the switch. So it's accessed from this side. There's some clips here. Let's move this completely out of the way. So everything comes out the bottom. 38-year-old plastics. How well do we think they will survive being jiggled and prodded? Well, I can certainly get down the side of that. Let's see if we can carefully open this. Okay, I've managed to get it to pop on one side. Hopefully it will carefully come up, and look at the colour of that. Yeah, that needs a clean. It's particularly filthy. There is the reason. It's not working very well. It's even come off in a strip on my thumb. So let's start off just taking the surface off with some isopropyl. And you can see the colour there. And now the sprung contact, which is immediately gone shiny. Ridiculously shiny. You can just see it's just age. Now I'm just going to tweak the sprung contact slightly. By tweak, I mean I'm just lifting up each leg so it'll put a little bit of extra pressure on. I'm not finished, I'm just doing that as prep. because while that's nice and clean, or cleaner looking, just doing this to ensure that the surface has been lightly scored, just to ensure a good clean connection when it goes back together. So hook one side in, and now hopefully it'll just be a case of pressing it down. Very positive. However, proof of the pudding will be whether it works. So at the moment, connection there, no connection there. And now dead to the top, but those two should be connected. So that's working. Doing exactly as it should. Right, let's pop it back in. Now that the switch is in, let's get the shield back on. So you may be wondering, because a lot of people won't put the shield back on, why? It's quite simple. It's original. This is how it was made. This is how it should be. That's how I look at it. You may disagree, you may want to remove it. Yeah, it's your own choice. So let's finish the assembly. One and two, and then very carefully we will reconnect the connector before turning the lid over and connecting everything else back up. Go. So we will get this connected. They should just clip in at the front, and then that just leaves our screws. And then once the screws are done, we'll be on to testing. So see you in a minute for testing. Well, the next thing to check before I go to testing is the power supply. This is an original Atari 2600 power supply, rated 9 volts, 500 milliamps, and center positive. And that's the plug. And they do supply you with a ridiculous amount of cable. So let's plug it in and see what we get. Now I am expecting to get a reading of more than the stated 9 volts. Most of the time these are much higher. I have seen them up to 13, 14 volts for certain applications. And that's just to normally, I believe, allow for the unit in use under load. So let's see what we get. It says center positive. 12.8283 volts. So that's fine. Fairly steady at that. Excellent. Done. Let's go and see what happens when we power this on. So now we're on to testing. It's all back together. I'm using Surround, which featured in an earlier video of cleaning cartridges. I'll also link that particular video so that you can go back and have a look and see what the picture quality of this was like prior. It was not good. Let's see if we made an improvement. I'd say that's a little bit of an improvement. Let's see if it works. This is kind of like light cycles. And we've backed him into a corner, so I'm going to win. So there we go, all done, all fixed. The power switch is working perfectly. Not difficult to do, a little bit fiddly, but all done. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please remember to like and subscribe, and see you on the next Retro Crazy.